Welcome, fellow creators. Have you ever sat down, ready to write, only to find yourself in this weird tug of war where you desperately want to create, but there's this paralyzing feeling that just keeps you from starting? If that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to dig into why we so often struggle to do the thing we love the most. Now, this isn't about some new productivity hack. Instead, we're going to dive deep into an expert blueprint, a framework built on psychology to really understand the hidden forces at play. Okay, let's get into it. Oh, that blinking cursor. It's so much more than just a line on a screen, isn't it? Some days it feels like it's judging you, just counting down the seconds you're wasting. It's like the physical version of an internal war. See, one part of you is just overflowing with ideas, with worlds begging to get onto the page. But then there's this other part, and man is it convincing, that is just slamming on the brakes, flooding you with doubt. It's exhausting, it's frustrating, and it can feel so incredibly lonely. But I want to tell you something right now, right at the start, that is absolutely crucial for you to hear. Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. Take a breath. This struggle, it is not a personal feeling. It is not a flaw in your character. It's not that you don't have enough passion. And it is definitely not a sign you lack talent. This resistance you feel is a totally normal, widely shared, and deeply human part of being a creative person. For way too long, we've been taught to feel ashamed about this stuff, but understanding that you're not the only one, that it's not some personal flaw, that is the first most powerful step to changing your relationship with your work. To really get to the bottom of this, we're going to turn to what we're calling the expert blueprint. Now, don't think of this as some single magic book. It's more like a combination of decades of research from psychology and neuroscience. It's a framework that basically pulls back the curtain on our creative brains. And what this blueprint shows us is that these battles, the procrastination, the self-doubt, they aren't just you sabotaging yourself. Nope, they are the predictable result of how our brains are wired. And once you see the pattern, you can start to change it. You see, this isn't just some feel-good saying. It's backed by science. The resistance you feel when you sit down to write, it's often coming from these deeply carved habits in your brain. Think of it like a path in the woods. Every time you felt anxious about writing and decided to check your email instead, you've walked that path, making it a little clearer, a little easier to follow next time. Your brain just learns, hey, avoiding this makes the bad feeling go away for a minute. It's a learned habit. And you know the great thing about learned habits? They can be unlearned. Okay, so if we're going to start dismantling this resistance, we have to know what it is we're fighting. There's this super powerful idea in psychology. You can't fight an enemy you can't name. As long as our resistance is just this vague, fuzzy feeling of, I just don't wanna, it feels huge and unbeatable. But the moment we can give these invisible forces a name, the moment we define them, they become real, understandable, and way, way more manageable. So let's start by naming the 3 biggest demons that we writers face. First up, the old classic, writer's block. We've all been there. But the expert blueprint says it's not some mysterious fog that just rolls in. It's a direct result of specific pressures. Take perfectionism. That's the little voice in your head whispering, this first sentence has to be perfect. The pressure is so intense that your brain's response is just to freeze. It's like a circuit breaker tripping. Or think about cognitive overload. You're trying to write one scene, but you're also juggling the entire plot and every single character arc in your head. It's just too much. Your brain shuts down production because it's overwhelmed. Next up is its sneaky cousin, imposter syndrome. Now, the key phrase here is cognitive distortion. This isn't just being humble. It's an active process where your brain is literally lying to you. You could have a stack of evidence of how competent you are, finished stories, great feedback, maybe you've even been published, but you still live with this nagging feeling that you're a total fraud. You think any success was just a fluke, and you're just one sentence away from everyone finding out you have no idea what you're doing. It's a really powerful form of self-doubt. And just look at this number. According to the research in the expert blueprint, a staggering 70% of professionals, especially in creative fields, will experience imposter syndrome. 70. Let that sink in. That means if you're in a room with 2 other writers, odds are 2 of you feel like you don't belong there. The crazy part is that we all feel this way thinking we're the only one. This isn't some personal problem you need to fix. It's practically a silent epidemic in the creative world. And finally, we've got the most popular excuse in the book, time scarcity. Oh, I'd love to write, I'm just so busy. But the expert blueprint tells us this is almost never the real reason. More often, it's just a convenient cover for something deeper. It can be a way to avoid the messy, vulnerable feeling of facing the blank page. And most importantly, it often comes down to self-worth. If, deep down, you don't believe your creative work is a real priority, as important as your job or your chores, you will never, ever find the time for it. So you've got these three things: writer's block, imposter syndrome, and time scarcity. And they all lead to one thing: procrastination, putting it off. I'll do it tomorrow. And this brings us to the single biggest mindset shift in this whole blueprint. This is the one idea that, if you can really take it to heart, could change everything for you. We have to completely redefine what procrastination actually is. For our entire lives, we've been told the story on the left, that procrastination is a moral failing. It means you're lazy, you're undisciplined, or you just don't want it enough. And we beat ourselves up over it. But look at the right. The expert blueprint reframes it completely. Procrastination is not a character flaw. It's a coping mechanism. It's your brain's clever, if misguided, attempt to protect you from a difficult feeling, like anxiety or self-doubt or even boredom. It's all about trying to manage your mood right here, right now. And here's why that's so important. When you sit down to write, you feel that wave of anxiety, and then you choose to open up Instagram instead. You're not being lazy. You are actively choosing a quick mood repair. Your brain knows that facing the blank page feels bad and scrolling through funny videos feels good. So in that moment, your emotional brain wins. It gets a little hit of relief, the anxiety goes down. The problem, of course, is that the relief is temporary. And this creates a vicious cycle. You avoid writing to feel better, then you feel guilty for avoiding it, which just makes writing feel even more stressful next time. So that leads us to the big question, right? If procrastination is just a strategy our brain uses to avoid feeling bad, what's the core feeling we're so desperate to avoid? What's the real engine driving all of this resistance? If you trace it all back, from the perfectionism to the self-doubt to the avoidance, all roads lead to one single powerful primal source. Before I just tell you, take a second. Really think about it. That moment right before you start to write. That hesitation, that feeling in your gut. What's actually going on in there? If it's not a character flaw, if it's not just you being lazy, what is that powerful force holding you back? Fear. It all comes down to fear. The expert blueprint explains that the act of creating something, of putting a piece of yourself out there for the world to judge, can actually trigger our brain's most primitive threat detection systems. See, your brain's alarm system doesn't know the difference between a mean book review and a saber-toothed tiger. To your emotional brain, the danger of being rejected, of failing, of being judged, it feels just as real as any physical threat. And your brain's number one job is to keep you safe. So it hits the procrastination button to make you run away. And this fear wears a lot of different masks. It's the fear of not being good enough, that your skills will never live up to the idea in your head. It's the fear of failure, of pouring your heart into something and having no one care. But weirdly, it can also be the fear of success. What if your book is a hit? Can you handle that pressure? Can you do it again? And underneath all of that is the fear of judgment. And maybe the biggest one of all, the raw, terrifying vulnerability of letting people see what's really going on inside your head. So what in the world do we do with all this? Well, this is where the blueprint becomes so powerful. This isn't just about diagnosing the problem. It's about giving us a whole new way to move forward. It lets us stop trying to treat the symptom, procrastination, with willpower and shame, and instead start treating the root cause, fear, with strategy and a little self-compassion. This is about building a new way of working, one that's based on understanding ourselves, not beating ourselves up. Once you really get that your procrastination is your brain trying to manage fear, not a sign that you're lazy, the whole game changes. You can stop yelling at yourself, which just adds more bad feelings to the mix. Instead, you can get curious. You can start asking a better question. Okay, I'm feeling resistance. What am I afraid of right now? And what's the tiniest, kindest, smallest step I can take to move forward anyway? You basically shift from being your own worst critic to becoming your own creative coach. So at the end of the day, you're not fighting a lack of willpower. You're fighting a deep, protective, and totally human fear response. And knowing who your real opponent is, well, that's the key to winning. It lets you use the right weapons, not shame and brute force, but curiosity, compassion, and courage. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you have this blueprint, now that you know you're not broken, you're just human, what's the first step you'll take to rewrite your own creative story?